Now, morning to you, David.
Good morning.
How's the form?
I'm good, thank you. Yourself?
Flying, thanks, yeah. So much to get to with Liverpool, Chelsea. I think primarily is kind of what we want to focus on, and we might just get straight into it with the signing of Thiago. I mentioned there, where does he fit in? Who misses out?
I think it's $1 million question, isn't it? You look at, the Liverpool strongest midfield has probably always been Fabinho with Henderson and Wijnaldum. It's a case of, look, a player of his calibre can play as the deep line one, so he could go in for Fabinho, or he could go more advanced instead of Henderson or Wijnaldum. I think it's a great option for Jurgen Klopp to have. Look, they've always, wanted to strengthen their midfield, and, if you bring in players of his calibre, the level will only go up. So it's going to be important for the Liverpool players, because he's going to bring that new quality and some extra skill that maybe some of the Liverpool players don't have the same as him. But it'll be certainly interesting to see how he fits him into the team.
Yeah, I mean, there is that, and then there's also the breadth of talent that's there that obviously were rammed home to the Premier League last season. You mentioned some of them there, whether it's Henderson or Wijnaldum, Fabinho, Milner, Oxlade-Chamberlain, Keita coming back, and now he's in there. Is there any possibility that this ends up destabilising things a little bit? Because you can talk about competition for places and how much it drives players on, but at some point that becomes less important to many of those players, far less important than actually getting game time themselves.
Yeah, well, if you look at, Jurgen Klopp's track record, he's always found the right balance in, rotating players and giving players enough time. Of course, every footballer wants to play every minute of every game, but it's nearly impossible. There has been talks of, clubs inquiring about Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain. You don't know, will he move on? Of course, James Milner is as fit as he is. He's another year older. Obviously, he either is in the last year of his contract or he signed a 1-year extension. I'm not 100% sure. But someone of Thiago, who is 30 now, it's exciting. It's a big player to come to Liverpool. He's just fresh off winning a treble at Bayern Munich, who was a mainstay in their team, but he felt he wanted a new challenge, and then to come to the Premier League. So that's the challenge that Jurgen Klopp faces. He's got all these excellent players who've been very successful over the last 3 seasons. Of course, in the first of those 3 they lost the Champions League final, but still to get there and then go on, win the Champions League, win the Premier League. It's a busy fixture list. Obviously, we know it's a shorter season this year, so there'll be plenty of games, and I imagine he'll rotate well.
It seems, David, over the last little while that Henderson, Wijnaldum and Fabinho have all had a very bespoke role in that midfield for Liverpool. Which of those 3 roles does Thiago and his attributes fit in best to?
Well, if you look at the last, serious competitive game Bayern Munich played, would be the Champions League final, and we saw Thiago playing as deep line, playmaker, who was getting the ball from the back 4, off the goalkeeper. So you're looking, really, is he going to go in as the deep line one in Fabinho's role? At times we've seen, Fabinho and Henderson swap. It's a tough one that, is he a lot better than Fabinho in that position? He probably adds different qualities. Look, he's very calm. He's assured on the ball. He's got an excellent range of passing. He's very skillful. I think the way Jurgen Klopp will do it, it's almost as if he's got Fabinho and Thiago for that position. Obviously, if the 2 were to pick up injuries, then Henderson can drop back in. But then I think it will become like Henderson, Keita in midfield, and then Wijnaldum, Milner and Oxlade-Chamberlain. I think he's almost looking at 2 players per position in midfield to kind of, keep it fresh, be able to rotate and keep a good balance.
So Thiago versus Fabinho, basically.
If I had to pick one, I think it will be Thiago versus Fabinho, yeah.
Where would you obviously watched the game last weekend, and we all kind of left it, David, a bit surprised. Even listened to John Giles there just before the break, saying that they took him by surprise how good they were, and he's a man who knows a thing or two about Leeds generally. Where do you sit on it? Is it Leeds is suddenly got a challenge for the top 4, or conversely,
No.
a bit of a blip for Liverpool in the opening? I mean, they won the thing, but a blip in terms of what we expected from them in the opening weekend.
I don't think Leeds will challenge for the top four, no. I think they're a long way off that yet. I do believe they will be up around the 10th mark. I think they'll be very comfortable. I kind of expect them to do almost what Sheffield United did last year, where they take the league by storm. Obviously, if anyone watched the game, we were full of admiration for them. A lot of people will be quick to highlight that Liverpool, didn't play particularly well. Like, obviously Bamford's goal was Van Dijk's mistake, but I think we have to give more credit to Leeds in that they didn't leave Liverpool play well. They didn't leave them dominate the ball. I think Leeds took the game to them. Of course, Anfield is one of those stadiums where when the crowd is there, it's a lot different. And I think for Liverpool, they need to adjust to that a lot quicker than other teams will, playing at home. But going back to Leeds, I think, they're exciting. You looked at even the 75th, 88th minute, those players are still, breaking their lungs, making loads of runs. They look fit as probably the fittest team in the Premier League. So I think, they will be good value for money this year, and they will cause a lot of teams upsets.
How it translated this weekend obviously remains to be seen, but it's a fascinating matchup in some ways that I don't know what sort of a score prediction I'm on here, but you've got a team obviously who can't really defend against the counter-attack and a team who can't stop scoring on the counter-attack. It all points to one outcome.
Yeah, well, that's the thing, isn't it? Results are hard to come by in this league, and if you can start to keep clean sheets or defend well, and then your forwards are producing goals and scoring goals, then you look like you can win games, and that's the most important thing, really.
The game this weekend, David, obviously has an added layer to proceedings with Frank Lampard's outburst on the sideline at the end of last season, Jurgen Klopp's comments 2 weeks ago, Lampard then hitting back at Klopp saying his comments were slightly amusing. They've tried to deny that a real beef is emerging here. What do you think?
I think guys in the press make it out to be more than it actually is. If you looked at the game at Anfield, obviously there was the little back and forth between Frank and Jurgen. I think it's part and parcel. Both competitive men who want to win. These things boil down, and then obviously I know Jurgen's comments about being owned by an oligarch, in the sense that they can go and spend 200 million. But if you look at it, they had the transfer ban, they sold Hazard. They've more or less spent what they received. So it's just, I think Frank is more important things to be worrying about. I know they beat Brighton 3-1. I didn't think their performance was spectacular. If you looked at the goals they scored, Brighton turn over the ball pops into the box, Timo Werner's brought down. The second is an absolute screamer from Reece James. The third is a set piece. I feel the big thing Frank has is how long are these new players going to take to settle? We don't know, will it be the now or the end of September, the start of October? They've brought in some very exciting players. I think Timo Werner will probably be huge to them. I think he'll score a lot of goals. But then he played Kai Havertz to the right. I'd like to see him probably play through the middle where Loftus-Cheek played. Obviously Ziyech is coming through, and then Thiago Silva. Does he come in for Zuma or does he come in for Christensen? And then it's just a case of, how these players get in and get settled, around the team. That's the big challenge he faces. And it will be a tough game against Liverpool. There's no doubt in that. But I think Liverpool's result against Leeds will almost give them kind of a kick up the backside to say, look, these are competitive games now. Everybody is coming for you. You're the team that everybody wants to beat. And I think Liverpool will go into that wanting to put a marker down. And of course, then Frank Lampard's thinking, this is the biggest test for us because they are Premier League champions.
The point on, I guess, how you actually managed to develop as a unit now and quite a young unit over the next couple of months is going to be very interesting. You mentioned Kai Havertz there. He didn't have a good debut, David. It was a tough night for him on Monday night. The question I would have about a player who comes in, he's 21 years of age, is where are the leaders going to be in that dressing room to, I guess, take Havertz under their wing and say, listen, it's going to be okay? Because it seems that they've cobbled together some outrageous talent here, but where are the leaders going to come from in these tough moments is a question I would certainly have.
And even if you look through the squad, I'd probably ask the same question. They're a very young side. Yes, Thiago Silva's coming in, but it's not as if he's, played with Kai Havertz before or what have you. Like Chelsea have always been renowned for, your John Terry, your Frank Lampard, Peter Cech, Drogba, like that spine of the old Chelsea team were big characters who you could probably turn on if, things weren't going too well, if you weren't settling in. You often hear great stories of John Terry helping players out when they sign. What do you need? Do your kids need to get into certain schools? He was meant to be fantastic with all little things like that. But then, like, you look at now, this team, it is very young. Reece James, Marcos Alonso probably won't play once Ben Chilwell is fit. So then you're looking at Zuma, Christensen, Rudiger. Like, of course, the big German three of Rudiger, Havertz and Werner, they'll probably lean on one another a lot. But then, like, Jorginho doesn't strike me as a character who's going to be too forthcoming outside of football. Yeah, he'll be in and around the training ground and helping fellas out. But, of course, N'Golo Kante, who's the nicest man in the world or the nicest footballer in the world, he's all smiles. But, I think it's going to be a challenge for them players to pull around to, help those young lads settle in, because there's no doubting their ability. They're all wonderful players and we all want to see them do really well. But it's like I said, it goes back to what I originally said. It's how long is it going to take them to settle into that team?
Yeah, it's going to be very interesting. It's also going to be a very interesting couple of weeks from a Tottenham perspective as well, David. We could have the second big signing of the week after Thiago completed in the next couple of days, which is Gareth Bale on loan to Tottenham. What I find interesting about this is that the thing that annoyed Jose Mourinho so much last week was that the team weren't pressing, that the team didn't have enough energy and that they were lazy. Do you believe that Gareth Bale will be able to bring that level of energy that Jose Mourinho is clearly crying out for?
Well, Gareth Bale has never been one for, if you watched him over the years, never been one for the pressing. I think it's his individual skill has got him his move to Real Madrid and has got him his accolades at Madrid. I certainly think if Bale comes into that team, he's still going to need time. He's not played enough games over the last 18 months. He's not going to be able to hit the ground running. I think if any Spurs fan thinks that he will, it's unheard of. I think for Gareth, he's at a stage where he needs to play regular football. He's such an incredibly talented player. We can all laugh and joke about, him being on the golf course, whatever. We've seen the screenshot of some tea time with Daniel Levy this morning. So, look, I think he'll be a big impact for Tottenham. I think, he'll come in and he'll be able to regenerate them in the sense that if he can get on the ball, he can free up other players because he is a wonderfully gifted footballer. But at the same time, what Mourinho is looking for with the high press and going after teams, I'm not sure that that's playing to Gareth's strong points or some of the other players.
David, I can't believe that we know you got to go and do the school run, so we're going to let you off. But I want to ask you the question about beef on the sideline. Another great opportunity to get into your own sideline spats, and you turned it down. It's we're not going to rerun that fun. Listen, thanks a million for joining us.
No problem, gents. Thank you very much.
Take it easy.